I'm Austria Reifer, and you're listening to Good Vibes Sunday, a podcast brought to you by I Am Warhol, the blog. And for this week, I wanted to touch on a comment I got over the weekend of someone telling me that, you have just the perfect little family and you guys are so cute and so perfect. Fuck perfection. Let's be real. No one is perfect. And I really, really want to touch on the reality of our lives and what people perceive to be perfect. And although I'm very flattered and thankful for the comment, just the reality of it all is that no one is perfect, and especially us. So let's get to it, guys. All right, guys. So this week I decided just to dive right in, and you might hear all kinds of stuff going on in the background just because with this whole idea of perfection, I just kind of wanted just to, I have my little guy cleaning his room right now. I have my husband doing a bunch of laundry because our dryer went out, and right now we're using just an old dryer that my parents or my dad's old dryer or whatever it is. So here's the thing. As I sit here, there's an AC unit hanging out of my window. And there is a mess every single day. We stage homes, so I have furniture just chilling in my living room. I have rugs, lighting, you name it, I have it. And it's just, I have nowhere to put it. Sure, we can get a storage, but we are really on a tight budget because we're really trying to build ourselves. So as we grow, we'll get a storage. Right now I have a makeshift one in our yard. So some of the stuff that doesn't fit there, it comes right in the house. So the whole idea here about this whole podcast today in particular about saying, fuck perfection, it's mostly about the perceptions that people have created. We are living in a time where everybody is so desensitized just to life, to real life, and people are obsessed with perfection, obsessed with creating images and videos and content that display a life that is completely unrealistic. And in particular, as a mom or as a woman or just as a human being, I feel like so much pressure already sits on our shoulders, as moms especially. So when we add this kind of pressure of social media and just the expectations that people place on other people, it's just beyond me. So when I, heard this comment over the weekend, and, this person is sweet person, so I didn't take offense to it at all by any means. It was just more than anything that it just, people think even we're perfect. We may even be guilty of making people think that we are, that we live this perfect life. We're a young couple and et cetera, et cetera. But the truth is that we're not by any means. I've talked about this before. Adam and I went through hardship financially. And so because of that, we have been just really grinding for the past almost 3 years now. And with that grind comes a lot of sacrifice. If you were to come over to our house, you would just be blown away because you would think, gosh, well, their home doesn't match the perception people have of us. The image that we give off doesn't match our home. And I'm proud to say that I don't care, because in reality, nothing is ever perfect. I always say there's always the summit. There's that mountain that people climb. No one looks at the bottom. People always want to look at when people have already reached the top, right? So right now we're I don't even want to say we're in the middle. We're climbing. We're still grinding every single day to get there. So with that, it's not pretty. It's not perfect. Our life is messy. Our life is just a bunch of errands and checklists and just grinding. I wake up, I go to the gym, don't put any makeup, bun up, I don't care. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that perfection is never one of those things that everybody should strive for. it should be more about making mistakes and learning from them. It's the way that, look, shit's always going to go wrong. You better be prepared to swallow that. If you think that everything is perfect, see, there's my cat meowing. No, but I'm saying is like, if you think everything is going to be perfect or there's never going to be anything wrong, I mean, you're in for a rude awakening. If you're young and you're listening to this, I'm telling you right now, by the time you get to my age and even further out, you will realize that if shit's going to go wrong, I mean, it's most likely going to happen to go wrong, you know? So just fix it. I always say find solutions to everything. I believe that this whole life is about finding solutions to problems. And that right there just shows you that nothing is ever perfect. If it was, there would be no problems to solve. So strive to do your best. Strive to always be the best at what you can control and to solve all the problems that you can. Another thing I wanted to touch on was, I remember once someone said, they were like, oh, I can imagine how amazing it must be to work with your husband. You guys are so cute. You guys seem to have the perfect relationship and, you know, your job and all this stuff and how fun it is. Oh my gosh. It's like, if I can show you a behind the scenes, which I probably should, I dare anybody to start a business with their husband. It is a tough thing to do because we are around each other 24/7. And when I say 24/7, I mean all the time. And you know, to really find the balance, there's the keyword balance between being friends, being partners in business, and love. So keeping that passion alive. That is probably the biggest challenge of our lives. We have kind of our own little strategy of the way we do that. And the way we do that is really just to not step into each other's territory as far as responsibilities go. I have another podcast on how we make our relationship work. And that was on last season's Good Vibes Sunday, and how we make our relationship work being in business together. If you're interested, go ahead and take a listen to that one. But honestly, it's not as easy as people think. We have a lot of tension sometimes. You know, when things do go wrong, we kind of have a habit of just kind of leaning on each other because we have no one else to lean on. And so we internalize a lot of it sometimes when we're trying not to fight, and then it comes out, and then there's bickering, and then so nothing is ever perfect. I mean, we're still fine tuning it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't just come easy to us. It's not like, I guess one of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, oh, you guys just have it so easy. It's like, no, we don't. And I never ever look at somebody. The way I describe this is, if you see someone who is in immaculate shape, right? They're in perfect shape, they're buff, they're this. And then people are like, oh man, they're just skinny or whatever. That's just them. It's like, no, that's them because they've decided to be. They made a choice to go to the gym every day, to live a healthy lifestyle, to carry a healthy, balanced diet, and to do whatever it has taken to get to the point that they are today. And it just doesn't happen overnight. So it's the same thing with us. Our relationship has taken a lot of talks, a lot of even just educating ourselves. We've read books on relationships. We have listened to other relationships that we admire. You know, like I always say Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I admire their relationship so much. So I've read their articles. I've read when they talk about their relationship, or I've listened to videos of when they've talked about it and stuff like that. I've taken interest. I've read books. We've done a lot of talking, a lot of communicating. I mean, the list goes on and on. So behind the scenes, there is a list that just goes on and on of the work that it takes to be in a good relationship, to be in a good business together, to have a good diet, or just anything in life. It takes time and it takes real energy. You know, our business in general, I wish people could see how busy we really are, and the balance that we really try to keep between being parents and, really grinding every day and trying to do our best to just be good human beings at the same time. You know what I mean? And still be affectionate and loving towards each other, and find time for our marriage and all those things. All of it takes so much effort and it takes so much time, but behind the scenes, there's always some, something that goes wrong. Like, everything's a mess. Nothing's perfect. Gosh, if I can show you guys. So just going with all of this whole perfection and marriage being perfect, and we're perfect and you guys look so cute and stuff, and I appreciate that, but we're not. And the reason I want to share that with you guys is just because I feel like we're in such a time period where everyone is looking for that, and because it's being displayed like just such on a silver accessible, very accessible, at your fingertips platter, which is social media, that we're being fooled because we are kind of just buying into this whole thing. And this goes even with design. I'm going to kind of dive into interior design. I have this whole motto, or I guess you can say, of like designing your own space. Home is the root of the soul. You are the one. I feel like a home is a canvas, and the story that's told is told by you. So nothing ever in life can be without you putting your input on it, right? Your own story, your memories, the crying and tears, the sweat equity, like all this stuff that creates a home is you. So when people go and start, looking, and that's not to say not to look on social media ever for ideas. I mean, ideas are awesome. I always say, take the good, leave the bad. But when it comes to even design, people put so much pressure on themselves that they have to go and spend all kinds of money to follow these crazes, these trends. And I always say is that you need to not follow trends. Trends are a marketing strategy set out by people to make you feel guilty when you don't buy those things. And they go away. So then you have to buy more later when that whole craze is gone. So don't follow trends. Go by what makes, when you walk into your space or your home, what is it that just brings you to life? What makes you smile? You have to sit down with yourself and make a list of the things that really enrich your life, really just promote healthy, happy feelings. Those and things that are timeless, that you can look at 10 years from now and say, man, I love that. I still love that. So like beige, for example, I remember reading on someone's bio, it's like good friends don't let their friends have beige homes or something like that. It's like, what's wrong with beige? You can always add, like my bathroom, I love, it's not beige, it's like a kind of like a creamy beige. But when you add like modern elements like black matte, sink faucets and black handles and just these nice clean lines, and I have like a beigey kind of creamy marble, and it's super clean cut, and it's like just modern and nice. What's wrong with that? To me, it feels so serene. But everybody's so obsessed with like grays and blocks and boho and clean. Like, just don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, you guys. And that goes with anything in life. Stop being a follower. Just go with what makes you you. There's only one you. You have to go with what's within yourself, what makes you and your family thrive. Okay? And that just goes with everything. And understand that everything good in life comes in time. And it's a process. And there's going to be mistakes. And you're going to have to learn from them until you reach your type of perfection. Create your perfection. And everything therefore will follow. Another thing I want to get into is just even body image. For 2.5 years, Adam and I didn't work out. We were avid workout freaks for the duration of his baseball career. And even before that, since I've had Arian is 10 now. So I remember giving birth to him and just working out like crazy since then. So it's how I lost the baby weight. But for 2 years, we were under a pressure that I can't even describe. It was a decision that him and I had to make was, do we spend time working out or, especially when we couldn't eat right because we were struggling financially, people were bringing food to our house, like donating. It's hard for people to believe that because they say, oh, right, sure. No, like we were dead broke having people drop off food at our house. It was bad. So during that time, we would eat whatever was placed in front of us, which was like mac and cheese, top ramen. I remember sitting at the desk, Adam always brings this up, but I was building our website, the blog in particular, and I was building a bunch of stuff like that, doing all our marketing. And I would sit there with top ramen just right next to me. 12-hour days, just all day eating top ramen, mac and cheese, whatever we could eat and afford. We did that for a while, and oh my gosh, I can't even tell you, some people have told us right. And I keep re-emphasizing that because they're like, okay, you too? No, yes. I'm not even exaggerating when I say it, and you can choose to believe it or not. I don't really care, but yeah, we grinded for a while, and it was a decision we had to make in order to really just progress. We had to save money. We couldn't afford to eat well. So therefore, what was the point of working out when we couldn't even eat well? And yes, you might think, well, you might as well work out and, stay somewhat healthy, but we didn't even have money for a gym, to be honest. And honestly, to work out properly, you have to have a good diet. So for 2.5 years, we ate like shit. And we just accepted it. We didn't fight it. We agreed with it. And we just moved along. And thank God we did, because at this point, we feel like we're finally starting to reap, just some of those benefits of all that hard work. And we continue. There's no stopping. So we continue to move on and do the same. But today we're finally working out. And it's been about 2.5 months for me. I think almost 3 months. And I'm not going to lie, I'm turning 29 this summer, actually in a month, in August. I'm turning 29. Woo woo to Leos out there. But it's been tough. It took me 2.5 years to put on, some of these LBs. And a lot of you might be thinking you're crazy because I'm not fat or anything, but I'm definitely not where I used to be. And it's been tough. It's been tough to, when you're eating unhealthy for so long, your body gets used to that. And I believe that it takes its time. If you're doing it the healthy way, if you're going out there and starving yourself, that's no way to go about it. You have to build a diet that is a habit, so it becomes a habit to eat healthy. Again, you can't strive for perfection. Nothing good ever comes overnight. Okay, I've known so many girls to starve themselves. They go about their day and they'll go out and shop, or they'll go out and entertain themselves by doing, keeping busy to not eat. And that's just the wrongest way to go. You have to nurture your body. Your body is your temple. You have got to nurture it. You have got to take care of it. And if you want to be productive in life and you want to, go out there and be your best for your kids and your family, you have to nurture yourself. I've talked about this before. Put yourself first. You can't help anybody else unless you take care of yourself. So going back to this whole weight thing, yeah, I've put on about 10 to 15 pounds. I used to weigh, I'll be honest, I don't care. I used to weigh 100. I fluctuated between 107, 110 before. So I've put on some weight, and I think, I don't mind it. I've got a little cushion. Adam doesn't mind it too much. He's into it a little bit, but I just, I feel like I'm firming up going to the gym and all, but I just feel I don't want to go back to where I was. I think 107 was a little too light, but I think maybe 115 would be good. So even just to lose those, 5 or whatever, 10 pounds that I want to lose, or 8 pounds, whatever it is, has been tough. Even going to the gym 4 days a week has been really rough. And I have to say this. I know you must be like, okay, wait, Austri, you weighed 107 and now you weigh, probably 115, 120. Oh, poor you. Look, here's the deal, guys. Compared to what, right? So for my body type, I'm very lean naturally. I'm not very heavy, but I always say that muscle always weighs more. So to me, when I look at myself in the mirror, I look at my body in the way that it used to be. I used to weigh 107 when I was skinny. And then I put on about, I think it was like 10 pounds of true muscle, and I was healthy. I felt good. I was like 115 to 117. I felt really good because my body was sculpted. When you go to the gym, you can choose to sculpt your body. You could choose the parts of your body that you want to make a little bit bigger, a little bit firmer. If you want a smaller waist, you kind of don't do as many abs, because you do abs, but you do core in a different way. You don't do it like an athlete, because then you start to get kind of squared off. So there's a whole method to that. I could, get into that another day, but the whole idea here is that right now I could be 100 and, whatever it is. I think I'm like 115, 120 pounds right now, but they're not a good 115, 120 pounds. I'm not sculpted the way I was. I'm not where I want to be. There's more belly fat. There's the thighs or whatever there's more fat there versus the leaner muscles that I want. And it's taking time to get there. I'm working out, I'm doing everything, and it's not happening as fast as I was hoping. And the reason is, there's a lot of reasons. There's age, there's metabolism. there's supplements I need to get back on, and just a whole process to it. But my whole point here is that I'm tired of people, because I've told people before and they're like, oh, okay. And they just roll their eyes. It's like, get over yourself. Look, you are you in your own way, and everybody has a different body type, okay? You could weigh 160 pounds and look like a freaking amazing human being, right? You can be, I know so many girls that are taller and they weigh more. And everybody just has, so weight to me, that's another thing that I want to really touch on is number. Don't really weigh yourself. When it comes to the gym, go according to what you look like physically, sculpturally, so muscle, mass, etc., the way you're sculpted, the shape that your body has taken on. Right now, I'm not happy with it. So for people to kind of roll their eyes and say, all right, Austria, it's like, it just gets so irritating just because it's like, stop. You know what I mean? It's like, stop. So when it comes to perfection, it goes two ways. There's the people that are just obsessed with perfection, and then there's the ones that are just like, oh, get over yourself, quit trying to be so perfect. It's like, come on, there has to be a balance. You can't go either which way. You can't let yourself go either and think it's okay to let myself go. I'm a mom. Oh, I don't have time for that. No, if you don't have time for yourself, then you don't have time for anything, because you have to put yourself first, right? So going in both directions with this whole perfection theory, you have to find the sweet spot. You have to go and really find that balance between putting expectation and pressure on yourself based on what you see versus putting excuses on yourself based on what you're not capable of doing, right? Because it's an insecurity. Because deep down, if I were to really dig in there, I would see some type of insecurity. Everybody wants to be better. Okay, but it has to be within the realm of reality. It has to be within the realm of bettering yourself for the right reasons, right? So not just what you see and trying to emulate this perfect world that you see on social media versus trying to be better for yourself. I guess my whole theory here is that I've been putting so much pressure on myself just about everything, about perfection, right? Because we all want to kind of lean in that direction since that's what we see every day. We're almost programmed in that way. And I'm very, if you were to ask anybody who knows Adam and I, we're both very OCD. We are perfectionists, I guess you could say, by nature. So we've really both have been working really hard. I think life has kind of slapped us upside the head to realize that, perfection isn't realistic, that there are so many problems that one has to solve to get to where they want to get to. And that is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. And you just kind of roll with it. You agree with things. You just go with the flow of life. And that's what we've learned. And so with that, I've even applied that to my diet. Just because I asked my body, I'm like, literally like, what's going on with you? Like, I'm working out, I'm doing all the right things. But I realized that just like my body is my life. Just like our life is our business. Everything in life doesn't happen overnight. And just because I see every single day, the most beautiful women out there and having these beautiful bodies and all this kind of stuff and kind of doing it all, right? I look at them like, well, it took them time. I can't hate on them. No, it took them time, and it's going to take me time, and it's going to take you time, and that's okay. Just like our business, just like our life, it's taking time, and there's a lot of hurdles to jump through and a lot of problems to solve, and all of it's going to take time. And so I think my body needs to adjust. It took 2 years of a beating of just eating shit for 2 years. And I guess the way this whole podcast isn't perfect either, by the way. I'm literally winging this. Typically I plan the whole week out, and I sit there and I kind of go point by point, and I have a whole story to it almost, just like kind of like a flow to the whole podcast. Today I'm just kind of improvising it. It's not going to be perfect. I planned it this way too. I just said, you know what, let's just go with it. I mean, typically I'm in a room that's like kind of soundproof and just like quiet and stuff. Right now I'm just in my bedroom, and everybody's around me doing Sunday things and cleaning and stuff like that. So I guess where I'm going with this, guys, is just fuck perfection. That's it. Just fuck perfection. Don't fall victim to everything you see. And when I say this, I'm taking my own advice here, because it's something that I struggle with too, and I think Adam struggles with it. I think we all, as a human experience, kind of always we always gravitate towards beauty. We gravitate towards having everything in order. And that's not to say that you shouldn't want those things. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I understand that, and I think in all reality, it's far-fetched to say like, oh no, like you shouldn't want perfection. You shouldn't want everything to be beautiful. What I'm saying is just the process. Just understand that everything you see on social media and stuff, for one, it's a perception. Two, if their life is beautiful and perfect, it's because they've done a shit ton of work to get to it. So don't get frustrated when you're not there yet. Don't get discouraged when problems arise and you feel like, oh, good things just happen for those people. It's like, no, they've worked for it. They've worked probably really hard to have that. And if they were born, into it, then it's really probably not going to last. Then maybe they're lacking in other aspects of their life. So perfection, just for today, for this Sunday, I want you to take from this whole podcast is just that it's a process, it's a journey. Enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, agree with it, don't resist it, and just go with it. Just go with the flow of life and be grateful. I think the biggest thing that I want you to take from this is gratitude, is that, compared to what I've talked about this a million times too, is just like compared to what your life is not perfect compared to what. There's always going to be someone above, something better, something more, and more, right? But when you look at the whole scale, there's always going to be someone worse off behind you too. Someone who is lacking food, who's in a worse situation, who is it. So when you really look at it on that level, there's never going to be enough. And I always say, like, with work, I'm like, no, with work, I'm a perfectionist. I strive to always do better and better. I'm very competitive. I want to go and grow and more and go, let's go. And I think that there's a fine line between being motivated. I think there's a fine line between being ambitious and a hustler. And I think when it comes to anything in life, there's really a balance that needs to be found. And once you find that sweet spot, everything therefore almost kind of falls into place on its own. And to me, that's perfection. So, all right, guys, I hope you have a happy Sunday. I know this podcast may have not been perfect, but I guess that's the whole point, right? See you guys next week.